You guys did so good on the weather photo assignment. I picked 5 photos. Hey everyone, Greg Cazillo from Cazillo.com. Welcome to another Keep Shooting Monday. We've done so many of them, I forget what number this one is, so just read it in the title or something. Anyway, there wasn't a whole lot in news this week. Coming up in today's show, we have our weather photo assignment winners, as well as a new photo assignment for this week, or I should say for the next 2 weeks. As I was saying about news, there wasn't a whole lot that kind of grabbed me. The two big things were obviously the one thing that everybody in the photo community is talking about is Adobe switching over to their new Creative Cloud type of, I guess you say, pricing structure, licensing, and there's a lot of people that are really up in arms about it. Personally, I'm not too offended about it, although I'll probably subscribe to it, maybe not right away. But when it is time for me to upgrade one of my machines, then I'll probably do 2. I do like the fact that I can get both of my Mac and my PC on the same copy of the software without having to pay extra. That part is nice. You know, I can do 2 computers, with, laptop, desktop. That works for me, and it's really nice. The big changes really are the pricing and the way that they're delivering updates. So in the pricing, instead of you shelling out $600, $800 or $2,500 if you're buying the master suite, you're just going to be paying monthly. And everybody's saying, well, I don't own the software anymore. Well, you never did own the software. It was already a lease. It was all, you never owned any of that. You know what I mean? You were just borrowing that from Adobe because you purchased that license. That's it. It's no different now with this new Creative Cloud. And so that's kind of a moot point to me. As far as their updates are concerned, they're going to be giving you more frequent updates. So instead of waiting for a new feature to come out and say they wait for 18 months for it to come out, which is their normal product life cycle, it's going to come out and say every couple of months, maybe every 3 months or every 6 months they're going to be coming out with something new or a few things, which is really cool. And I like that. There really won't be any more versions, which is nice. It's, do you use Adobe? Yes. And you know what? It's kind of the same idea with the iPhone, or the iPad. Do you have an iPhone or an iPad? Yeah. And it's kind of morphed into, yes, I just have an iPhone rather than I have an iPhone 4 or a 4S or a 5 or a 3. Like, yeah, I just use an iPhone. So, same idea. I long term, we'll see what happens. But as any kind of a major change like this, you really never know what people are going to buy. I think eventually they're going to concede because they're going to realize it's going to cost them less money. They're getting new features. It's going to do everything that they needed it to do. And so, if you don't need it right now, don't buy it. That's the bottom line. Keep using the version that you have. On my workstation, I use Photoshop so little on that machine. I actually still have CS3 on it. I don't use it that much, and I don't really need any heavy doing much heavy Photoshop work, and the majority of my work is in Lightroom, so I don't need it, so I probably won't buy it for that machine right away. Second news item I wanted to talk about today was this article from Petapixel that talked about this color run, quote unquote, that almost destroyed this lens. Basically, it's very fine colored dust that gets into your equipment, into your lenses, into everything, every nook and cranny, and so whether or not this was actually the cause, what happened with this lens, maybe it was a cheapo lens, it really doesn't say in the article. I don't remember it saying that anyway. It doesn't matter. Bottom line, you got to be careful. You got to be protective of it, and you got, if you don't have the money to be throwing around to be buying new equipment or always sending it in to be cleaned or replacing it, then you got to be careful with it. Make sure that you're protecting it. If you're going into a harsh situation, make sure that you are protecting it, knowing what you're going to do with it. Put a rain cover over it, especially if you're outdoors in some kind of weather like that. And if not, just take a look at how impressive and how far-reaching this dust got into this lens. It's just amazing. So check it out.
was just at an outdoor concert where lighting was constantly changing. Stage was in shade, but clouds changed the amount of light. I switched to after party because manual just wasn't keeping up. Many of the pics had motion blur. Now I think I should just switch to shutter party, put my ISO on auto. This way I would have not had any motion blur.
Dean, that would have been the last thing that I would have done. I would never put my camera on auto ISO. I just never, ever, ever would use it. I think it's the worst thing the camera manufacturers put in their camera. Basically, it's like complete dummy mode. That's not what us as photographers need, is a dummy mode. We need to control the camera, tell it what we want it to do, not let it take a guess and just look at the light, because it doesn't know if you're pointing it at a pot of soup on the stove, or at a car going by, or at a person. It doesn't know what you're pointing it at. So you really got to pay attention and learn what the camera's going to do. That said, what I want the camera to do, what I would have done in that situation, is I would have left it on aperture priority. Then I would have increased my ISO to say 800 or 1600, it's another stop or two higher, and then take the camera and point it where throughout the entire scene, looking at that shutter speed, making sure that it's high enough. Now make sure that you're looking through the viewfinder. I've seen a lot of people lately that take their camera and they're looking down at it like this when they think that they're metering. Oh yeah, the meter looks fine when it's here, but then I get a picture that's overexposed. Well, when you're pointing the camera down, you're metering the ground. You're not metering what's in front of you. So pay attention to that, of course. So take the camera, look all through the scene. As the sun comes in and out and the clouds, come in and out, that's when you would do that meter and see what happens. So I think that'd be the way to go. And I do use that technique quite often. Yes, absolutely. My three-legged thing, jack tripod, does have one leg that does disconnect for use as a monopod. For me, it's unfortunately way too short. It won't work for me. I'm 6'4". I'm a big guy. I like my monopod right up at my eye level, and so it just won't work. In fact, there's only certain monopods. Only certain monopods that'll even go that tall. I had this older Gitzo one, which actually I literally just grabbed out of the closet, so I forget the model number of it. But I use it all the time with my 300mm 2.8 here. I used to use it a little bit with my 70-200, but since I bought my Black Rapid R-strap, I've actually stopped using the monopod with the 70-200. It's so nice and convenient just to let it dangle at my side and pull it up when I really need it, and that's it. So with a bigger lens, I really need it, yes, that's when I use it. If I'm doing a little bit of video, I've used a monopod. Other than that, with a 300mm lens, that's about the only time that I will use it, unless I really had an issue where I needed a slower shutter speed with a little bit longer lens, and that's a pretty special case, because usually I just increase my ISO, but it's going to be pretty rare that would happen. So longer lenses, I would say 300mm and longer, you need a monopod, just usually because of their size, because of the increased camera shake. And other than that, that's about the only time that I think would definitely use a monopod. And realistically, it's just a lot of it's to get rid of that weight, so you don't have to hold that thing all the time. Speaking of monopods and action, let's have our next photo assignment show some kind of motion. So the assignment is called motion. Show me something. Show me something that's moving. This is going to be one of those where I'm not going to be real picky about what's working, what's not going to be working. Something can be absolutely dead stop as long as it still looks like it's moving. So that can be difficult sometimes. It can be tough to pick the right subject, but hey, let's try it. Let's see what happens. It could be a sports thing. It could be just a kid at the playground. It could be a car going down the road. Get the fastest car that you can get, like right next door here. It's actually a Maserati dealer. I think that'd be really cool to go out and photograph a Maserati, but I don't think that they're going to let me take one out for a joyride, because when I borrow a car, I drive it like I stole it. Anyway, motion. Give me something good. Post them to the forum. If you have any questions about the rules, head over to the forum. All of the rules are posted there. Cazillo.com/forum. Thanks, guys. Let's get another really good assignment. There were some awesome photos posted, which I'm going to go over next. Finally, on to our photo assignment winners. The first one, or I should say the number 5 photo, is this one from Brad. Love it. Love the light. Love the angle. You got a little bit of shadow in there with a nice blue sky in the background showing that it's a beautiful sunny day. Awesome photo. I like that low angle showing the sky there. I think that definitely helps. And the nice contrast and the cool tones between of the nice blue sky and contrasting with the good whites. So it makes it an excellent image. Next one, this one from Dennis. Time of day makes a huge difference in a lot of scenic photos, and this one is no exception. That tiny little sliver of sun, which is either the first light or the last light of the day, just that little bit helps this photo tremendously. Would have been totally boring without it. Makes a huge difference. I like the center of it. You didn't really need the rule of thirds. Kept the tree right in the middle. You have good foreground, middle ground, background. Excellent photo. Love it. I wish I was there. I'd like to get back there. I was out in Vegas a while back, and can't wait to go back again. Anyway, this next one also from Dennis. I didn't realize there were two of them by Dennis. Oh well. Usually I try not to do that, but this is another excellent photo. Love the clouds pouring, the light pouring through the clouds. You see those streams of light, the angle. The only thing that I think I would have changed would be to even out the top and the bottom, the clouds with the ground. Maybe keep that area even. Just a very slight crop would make that nice and even. Just crop out a little bit of that, and I think it would make it even more interesting. This first one from Bren. I've actually wanted to try this technique for a long time, but never have. Basically what he did here is he used a little bit of fill flash to fill in the foreground because he's looking at the sun, so everything's going to be in shadow. But that little bit of fill flash makes the color pop. You get a little bit of sun left over in there. So it's a really neat technique that I wanted to try myself, but just never got around to doing it. So makes for a really neat photo. Love seeing the color and the cherry blossoms in this particular instance. So makes it really cool. My number one image is this one from Derek. Why did I choose this one? Because it's a portrait. And you guys know that I'm partial to portraits, but it's still showing weather. I love the kid or the adult or whoever jumping. Would have been even cooler if everyone would have been jumping. But like one of the earlier images, not a huge fan of all that black area at the bottom. I think it's a little bit too much negative space. So I'd probably crop a little bit of that out, make it a little bit more panoramic. Other than that though, love the colors, love the silhouette, showing the end of the day. Again, time of day makes a difference. And so this one from Derek is my favorite this week. Make sure you get your photos posted over to the forum for our new assignment, which is motion. Again, I'm going to be pretty loosey-goosey on this one. Doesn't have to be really, doesn't have to be a sport, doesn't have to be a kid. It could be pretty much anything as far as the subject matter. Just make sure that it's very apparent, or I should say the more apparent it is that the subject is moving, the more likely it is to win. Let's put it that way. All right? Greg Cazillo, Cazillo.com. Thanks, guys. Keep shooting. See you.